Hey, what's up, guys? Joining you today, I'm in my wife's 2009 Mazda CX-7. We've had this thing for a long time, but a recurring problem that we keep having is this. This is, from what I understand, this same solution and the repair we're going to do here applies to a whole bunch of different models. And I'm gonna look them up, and I'll put the some of the different vehicles in the description. But that's not how it's supposed to be. We can fix this. If you go to the dealership, they're going to charge you a whole lot of money for labor, but most of the time they're going to charge you for a whole window motor replacement. And we're going to open this up, and I'm going to show you where this lives. But this is the gear, and typically, let me just open this up real quick so I can show y'all. The teeth on this gear, when you're hearing that grinding, you've knocked some of these teeth off. And when we pull it out, I'm going to expect we're going to have a couple spots on here. The teeth are missing. However, we can take the motor apart. We can pop this new gear in there and get these fixed all by ourselves. It's mostly just a couple of Phillips screws on the door panel and some some trim retaining pins that we can pop off. I also bought some extras just in case we break some, which is pretty common as well. But these two gears, I have one for both sides, one for both front windows, and together I think they were about $15 on Amazon for the pair. So we can get out of this for about 20 bucks, rather than what the dealer is going to want to do is to install whole new window motors. So let's check it out. So to do this job, we're not going to need a whole lot of tools. I'm going to be using my 20 volt DeWalt because I love this thing. This is just my impact and has a low setting that you can use for low torque so you don't break things. I'm going to be using this. I have my bit. This is a Phillips, a number 2 Phillips bit. I'm going to put that in the impact driver. I also have a 10 millimeter socket, deep well. This is what holds the window motor into the door. And then it's on a 3/8 adapter, so it's 3/8 drive to the 1/4 inch impact on the my impact gun. This is a small dead blow hammer. This is just for popping. You pop that motor just to knock the back side of the cover off. And my retainer pin remover tool. A couple pairs of pliers and some screwdrivers, and I also had my long Phillips screwdriver to take the passenger side door handle off, and that's about it. And the trim retainer kit, which I'll link in the description, but we were using these D12 retainers to hold the door panel back on. All right, so we're gonna jump into this. We'll figure it out as we go. So I know pretty quickly there's going to be a screw behind the door handle here. We'll just pop this out. There's a Phillips screw right there. And I believe that there's another screw in here, and I'll take a shot of that here in a second. There's another Phillips screw in the hole there. I think the rest of the door is held on by trim clips. So I got my impact, but you can just use a screwdriver with my Phillips on it, and we're going to take these out of here. Pull this out just a little bit. The door panel is going to come out around this when we're ready to take the door panel off. We have our screw that's in the door handle here. It's a little funky. I'm gonna have to clean that out. Look at that. I'm using this. This is what I'm gonna use to pry the panel off of the door. And as we're going around, there's gonna be push pins around the perimeter of the door panel, and just pop those as we come to them. So I'm gonna start here at the bottom. You can kind of pull at the door, and you want to kind of get an idea where you think these push pins are. All right, let's start working on this here. once you get a little bit of that panel pulled away, just where you can get your fingertips in there, you can start pulling it away from the door. It walks off fairly easily so far. That's good. And it sounds like one of the trim retainers broke, but that's okay. We planned for that. Pick it up, because now the top of the door panel is hooked on the top of the door sill here, so we'll pull it away so none of the retaining pins go back into the door, and then it's just hanging on the door sill. And here we go. Get the door panel loose. We have a connector here. There's a small retainer on the bottom. Just give it a pinch. The wrong way. You push in on the retainer here and you pull this down. Let's get the door panel a little bit loose. This is also held on here. It doesn't take a whole lot. You can just pull it off by hand. There's a hook on the bottom, and then there's a push pin where you lock it. Take that off. There we go. Now we're loose. We'll rotate this over so that it clears the door panel, and that's it. The door panel's off. And lastly, we've got a few, let's see if I can get it. You have a couple connectors right here, and you can usually feel for the little retainer. This one here. A lot of these connectors, they just have this little lock right here, and you push down on them and they release. This one here, push in that one, and this one here. And sometimes they require two hands. Hang on. And that's it. Once those connectors are removed, the door panel is free, and we can lean it on a bicycle. That came off really easily. Now you see these three bolts right here? This is holding on the window motor. This is your window drive motor. It's pretty simple. There's a lot of wires going into it, but basically when you command the window to go up, it powers the motor to spin in one direction, and then whenever you want the window to go down, it reverses the polarity on the motor and winds it down. It's just it's a pretty simple system. We're going to take this out of here. You got three 10mm bolts holding it in the door panel. And sometimes you're going to have a little bit of weight or strain on this from the window being up or down. Let's see. I think I have a little bit of tension on that. I think I need to put the window down. Right now it feels like there's some tension on the gears. I'm going to put the window down. There we go. There we go. Put the window down. There we go. Now, let's pop this connector loose again. Oh, the motor just fell out. Yeah, there's definitely no tension on it now. And that's it. There's your motor. And now I'm going to take this over and we're going to take it apart on the bench. All right, here we go. So now we're getting kind of to the meat of things. So this is your window motor that you just pulled out, and holding these halves together is there's no screws. Whenever this is installed, those big 10mm bolts that were installed, they clamp this together into the door panel and keep it together. But whenever you have it out like this, all that is holding this front cover on is some plastic snaps. And there's one right, let's see if I can find it, right here. So here I've circled the location of the two locking tabs that hold the halves of the window motor together. Now you may be able to bend the tabs away, but in my experience, they usually just break off. If you want to avoid fighting with this step, don't be afraid to just break these tabs off.
when you reinstall the window motor in the door, the 3 bolts that hold the motor to the door panel, they'll hold the case shut. So there's really nothing to worry about there.
Soft hammer, you can pop the back side off here. You just got to not be afraid of it. So one good pop and the back side falls off. So right now we had this was in here like this, and the back half comes apart. You'll see there's a little bit of lubricant still in there. There's a little bit of grease. I'm pretty much going to leave that alone. This is pretty clean. So I'm going to set this aside. Inside here. This gear right here is what we're after. So let's take off this top part. And you have these, this is like a rubber coupler. This is broken, but it's okay. We can put it back in there. And here you go. So whenever you're driving the motor and this is spinning, that motor is, or the window is under tension. But when you hit this spot right here, this is where you're grinding. It's not, obviously I can't duplicate it, but right there where those teeth are missing is where that window kept stopping. So this, we're gonna pull this O-ring off of here. This right here is our gear that we're replacing. And if you compare it, this is our old one and this is our new one. They look pretty much identical. Even the dimples in the middle there look the same. So there you go. We'll set this one aside. We're going to set this one back in. Just kind of work it in there. Let's see. There you go. Some grease. Just making sure this isn't any pieces of plastic. Yeah, it's just grease. I'll set these pieces back in here. This just allows for this rubber will squish whenever the motor is put under tension. So whenever you get to the top or the bottom of travel, it doesn't bind the motor up. It squishes this rubber, and it makes supposed to make the gear last longer. You can see how well that worked out. Put this O-ring back on top of here. This is the drive. This gear on the top is what is engaging the window regulator inside the door. So these 3 tangs will line up in these 3 spots right here. You got that the first try. Good. This black O-ring is going to seal in the case. Whenever the other half comes back down, this is an oil seal. And that's pretty much it. We just got to reinstall this top gear right here. And we're ready to put this motor back in the door. This is how it's going to work, by the way. You have this is called a worm gear. So this gear right here looks like a spiral. And when it turns, it pushes this gear forward or backwards, and that's how your window goes up and down. So let's stick this all back together. Make sure it's all clean. I did see a broken tooth, but it's laying here somewhere on the bench. So just so long as you don't have any debris going back in here, you should be okay. Let's line this all up. Everything looks good. I'm happy with the amount of lube that's already in here, so I'm not going to add any more. Just be gentle with it. And that's it. And whenever, if you were able to save the plastic tangs, you'd hear them snap. Oh, there's my chipped off tooth. That's part of what was causing our problem. Anyway, you see now that there is no gap and this is completely closed. That means we got everything lined up and nothing's binding. So let's go, we're gonna go stick this thing back in the car. So this right here, this goes back. So this is the gear for the window regulator. So whenever that motor turns it, clockwise or counterclockwise, there is a wire, is a small cable. This is kind of like, looks like the brake cable on your bicycle. It goes in and the cable runs on both sides of the window. And whenever you wind it up, the whole cable mechanism turns one way to bring it up and it rewinds the other way to pull it back down. So sometimes, quite frequently, you'll have some cars where the windows won't go down and you'll hear it. And it just sounds like a bunch of grinding and stuff crackling. Usually it's these cables have broken apart and you're ripping the cable. But in this case, everything in here appears to be good. I have the motor back here and just getting a paper towel. There's a little bit of grease in there, so this is a little bit oily. I just want to wipe it off. I want to make this look nice inside here. And personally, you know, replacing this gear is cheaper. However, a big thing for me is I hate to throw this motor away, and I know that you can recycle them. I have a real big issue with throwing things in the landfill if they don't need to be, so I like to try to repair stuff when I'm able. So let's see, we'll line this up. I know that this square hole here went on this pin. And just kind of wiggle it a little bit so that this gear goes in here. I think I'm gonna have to turn this just a little bit. I'm just gonna use my trim tool. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Here, we'll turn that a little bit and I'm gonna pull this back in. And I can't remember if I've had to do this in the past. However, what I'm gonna do now, we are going to pull the speaker out of the door real quick. This is actually really easy to do, and we will be able to put our hand on the back side of that regulator and hold it in there while we screw everything down. We'll make sure we have everything lined up so we don't hurt the door, the window mechanism. Pull this is the subwoofer in the door. Let's disconnect this real quick. And the glass is right here. All right, we're gonna lift the glass up, get it out of our way. Oh, yeah. Push it back in here. There you go. You see we got the little pins, the little fingers there lined up. We'll just rotate that. There we go, it's locked. The regulator drive is now back in the door panel. It shouldn't fall back in. All right, let's do this again. We have our motor here. I'm gonna keep my hand on the back just for good measure. There we go, popped on. Let's put our 3 bolts back in the door here. Just tighten these hand tight, don't go crazy. Perfect. Here's our plug for our window motor. And now we're going to put this speaker back in again. Sometimes it's quicker just to do something like this, remove this speaker, than try to fight with that regulator. That only took me maybe an extra minute, and we have peace of mind knowing that everything's put in straight and it's not going to come back and bite us. Excellent. All right, everything here. These are just all of our switches, the wires for our switches. So now we can put the door panel back on. Here's something I want to show you real quick too. This is something that makes a difference in your repair between, you know, somebody who's a hack and somebody who takes pride in their work. This is right here. So when you have the door panel off, these holes that you see around the perimeter of the door, here, all the way around, but you see right here, there's still a pin in there. This is one of those trim retaining pins that holds the door panel on. We're gonna pull that out. A lot of times people will just leave it, they don't care, but we're gonna replace it with a brand new one. You see it's broken. This edge right here is busted off. And we go around, I just wanna check that one's empty. All of these are clear of having a pin in them, so I think we're good. Oh, nope, this one right here. So I just grabbed this trim removal tool and get my fingers out of the camera, and that's it, you pop them out. Now a lot of times too, for age, these pins get weak. I'm actually surprised. A lot of times you'll put them in and they just won't hold the door panel on very tight, but these ones here, you see the top there broke, and that's the part that goes inside the door panel. So they're just gonna stay stuck in the door, and they're not actually even gonna help you by holding the door panel on. So we get rid of this one, we're gonna replace it. Same with this one here, we're gonna throw this away. Just get it out of here. There we go. Let's see what we got here. So there's our old trim retaining pins. And I got my good old kit here. This came off of Amazon. This thing was cheap, but it's got a lot of different types of retaining, trim retaining pins in here. But these right here are the ones that we're gonna want. And we'll replace the ones in the door. I'm gonna check the door panel out here in a second. We're gonna put new ones in where the old ones are broken. So here we go. We got the door panel here. And this is another really good reason to do this. This car has subs in the doors, and if you don't replace these, you don't get good mechanical attachment of the door panel to the door. This door is going to rattle, especially if you have some, you know, if you're playing music with bass. But this is one of the pins that I just removed from the door. I think it's still decent, but if I have enough pins here, I'm just going to replace all of these. These are really easy to replace. Let's see if we'll drop the camera on the floor. Come on, baby. I need a bigger table. These are so easy to install. You just slide this right there, and these two little pins help keep it in place. And that is it. So you just go around. I'm gonna replace the rest of the ones in the door here. That's it. That's all of the pins. This thing's gonna go on nice. There we go. We will start out, get you a better view just real quick. We have our plugs that are gonna go in to the, dropping stuff on the floor. This right here in the bottom of our main, this is our power window switch. We have our windows. I think there's, I think this is for your, let's see, this is your windows, your power mirrors, and the window lock button is right here. And the power door lock button, no, that's up on the handle. That's the other one that's gonna go up in this hole. So we'll flip this around and get this hooked up. We have one more plug left. This is gonna go up here, but first, feed this back through. And then, let's see, let's get in here. Now that that is hanging on there, you'll see all of the holes. Can't hardly see there. Ignore that plug, by the way. That's for a feature that this car does not have. You see the hole? There's the pin. And you kind of wiggle. Can we see it? We can't see it. You'll see this gap here. You just kind of work your way from the top. Just kind of give it a little bunk the whole way around. And the door panel should be fully attached. That's it. It's in. That went really nice. So right now the doors The door panel is attached by the trim, those pins, but now we got 2 more screws that we got to reinstall. There's our 2 screws. Remember where these go? We had 1. Oh, what did I almost forget? What did I almost forget? I almost forgot to plug this in. That would have stunk. There's 1 screw. This screw is important because a lot of people have a tendency when you open the door that you'll actually try to pull the door shut with this handle. So that screw is solid attachment for the handle to the metal structure of the door. And the last one goes in this pull cup, and this is for the same reason, because this is a point where you will pull the door whenever you want to close the door, and that screw gives you mechanical attachment from this plastic handle to the metal door structure. So, did I forget anything? I got a couple more pieces of trim. You got this piece that goes up on the top here. Pop that back on. Got this dirty thing here. I need to clean this, but this goes back down in the cup hole for the door handle. And this is the last one here. This is the beauty panel for inside this handle, so you don't see the screw and everything inside there. So you just play with it till it fits and pop it in. That's it. So let's see. Did I fix it without forgetting anything and screwing anything up? That's it. It's nice. That's it. Less than 10 bucks to do this door. So you go just get some interior cleaner, wipe this panel down, and you're done. And now I don't have to be embarrassed to go get McDonald's anymore. So I hope this helped. I really like this because this is an example where just doing a little bit of work yourself can save you a boatload of money. You don't have to go to the dealership and wait around for them to look at your car, them to give you the runaround and tell you that you need a whole bunch of stuff. I came in here to get my window fixed. Now you're telling me I need tires and brakes and an air filter and you want to wash it or something. I didn't have to take it to the dealership. I didn't have to jerk around. Amazon got me that gear in, I think it was like 2 days, and about $8 with shipping for 1 gear. So now I'm going to hop over, I'm going to do the other door, and that's it. So I really hope that this video helps somebody. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And I really enjoy making these videos, so if you could just consider subscribing to my channel, give the video a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Thank you.